At Preston Corporation, Linda is the best employee in the office. Her manager Donovan is very impressed by her report and praises her skills, but he doesn't let her attend the board meeting. He promises he'll let everyone know this is her work. However, when the meeting begins, Donovan removes her name and takes the credit. Linda tries to share her frustrations with a coworker, but she only comes off as awkward and weird. When other coworkers try to organize an outing, she tries to chat with them and come along, but she's always left out. At home, Linda has no friends or family. She's alone in all her vacation pictures, and her only company is her parrot. Yet Linda always remains positive and thinks that with enough hard work she'll find success one day. The company owner even said that she was next in line for vice president. After dinner, Linda likes to watch Survivor. Her books and vacation pictures show her interest in the subject of survival. The next day, Bradley takes over his late father's position as company president. Linda quickly hides her lunch and rushes to introduce herself, but she still has mayo on his face, so Bradley is repulsed. She tries to make a joke about shoes that only makes Bradley feel more awkward, so he leaves for his office. Afterward, Bradley notices mayo on his hand and complains about how disgusting Linda is. Executive Franklin informs him that Linda was promised the vice president position, but Bradley says he'll give that promotion to Donovan. Franklin explains that the company depends on Linda and even Bradley's father dumped everything on her. Bradley doesn't care and wants her moved to another office to keep her hidden. Then Franklin desperately points out that they have a major meeting in Bangkok coming up. Donovan can't handle it alone. In fact, nobody has solved the issue with Appendix D. Bradley agrees to bring Linda to the trip, but only so she can help Donovan. She won't be allowed in any meetings. Later, Linda notices that Bradley and Donovan are fooling around together. A coworker informs her that they used to be fraternity buddies and Donovan has been promoted to vice president. A furious Linda rushes to Bradley's office to ask why she didn't get the promotion, pointing out that Donovan has been here for only 6 months and she's been here for 7 years. Bradley explains that Linda is good with numbers but she isn't good with people, and he needs someone who can charm a room to get business deals. He also points out that she has something on her teeth, further humiliating her. As a compromise, he tells her to join the Bangkok trip and solve the issue with Appendix D so she can prove him wrong. Linda tries to protest, but Bradley ignores her to play golf. At that moment, Bradley's fiancée Zuri arrives and Linda notices her very expensive ring. When she tries to leave, Bradley says people have been complaining about Linda having her lunch at her desk because of the smell, so she must eat in the break room. This is a lie, he's the only one bothered by this. Linda walks through the office while holding back tears, feeling everyone's eyes on her. She manages to make it to her car and tries to convince herself that she's enough, but she's still crying. On the morning of the trip, Linda arrives at the airport full of energy and announces she solved the issue with Appendix D, but Bradley isn't paying attention. During the flight, Linda keeps working while the guys fool around. Donovan reveals he's found Linda's audition tape for Survivor and everyone laughs at her. When Linda realizes what's going on, she's so upset that she decides not to send her report with a solution. Suddenly the plane shakes for a few seconds, so the stewardess makes everyone take their seats and secure their seatbelts. Bradley and Linda immediately do so, but Bradley makes a joke saying only weaklings need seatbelts, so the others laugh instead of sitting. When the plane starts shaking again, Donovan and 2 other employees are thrown around the cabin. At that moment the plane catches fire and starts going down. The wall breaks and the cabin depressurizes, causing an employee to get sucked out. Donovan holds on to Linda's leg so she offers her arm to help him, only for him to ask for her seat. At the same time, the other guy tries to hold on to Bradley, who immediately pushes him off. The employee manages to grab Donovan's leg as Linda's glasses fly off, hitting him on the face. Since Donovan keeps telling him to let go, the guy bites his leg, and Donovan responds by hitting him. Then Donovan grabs Linda by the throat and asks for the seat again, so she grabs a fork and stabs his hand, causing him to let go. Both men are sucked out of the plane and Donovan's tie gets stuck in the hole, so his body keeps bouncing on the glass. When he asks for help, Linda closes the window. After losing one of the engines, the plane lands on the sea and water starts flooding the cabin. Linda holds her breath as she struggles with the seatbelt. Once she manages to free herself, she swims ahead and is startled by the body of the stewardess. She screams before swimming out of the plane to reach the surface, only to discover she's in the middle of nowhere. Soon the plane disappears underwater. The next morning, Linda wakes up on an island. She wanders around for a while until she discovers that Bradley is there too. He's unconscious and has a deep cut in his leg. Linda hits a rock with another rock to form a blade and uses it to cut plants. Then she gathers vines and branches and builds a shelter. She also digs a hole and puts down coconut shells to collect water. In the evening it starts raining, but Linda is safe in the shelter while taking care of Bradley. The next day, Linda drinks water from the coconut. At that moment Bradley wakes up, so she makes him drink some water too. He has a small breakdown when he hears nobody else survived and thanks Linda for helping him. Afterward, Linda works hard with some branches and leaves to make a fire. She also catches a fish and cooks it over the flames. When she offers some to Bradley, he refuses to eat because he hates the smell, so Linda forces the food into his mouth. The following morning, Linda is very excited because she's found a conch. However, Bradley is irritated and asks why she hasn't made a distress signal or looked for GPS equipment on the plane. Linda says her priority has been keeping them alive, but he thinks the priority should be to get rescued. When Bradley tries to stand up, he feels great pain, so Linda tries to help him, but he doesn't want her to touch him. She teases him for his soft hands and Bradley gets angry, reminding her to talk properly to him because she's his employee. A frustrated Linda picks up her things and leaves him alone. As hours pass, Bradley tries to pretend he's fine alone. However, he starts feeling thirsty and hungry and realizes he can't do this without her. That night, a strong wind blows off his shelter. The next day, the sunlight starts burning his skin and he passes out. Linda comes to see him with some water and announces they aren't in the office anymore, so he agrees. Moments later, Bradley is finally having food. Linda says she's seen tracks from a boar, so she makes a spear to hunt it. Bradley doesn't think that Linda from accounting can hunt a boar, and Linda immediately corrects him, saying she's actually from the strategy and planning department. She calls him out for lying since he clearly didn't look at her work like he said. In the woods, Linda follows the tracks on the ground but freezes when she hears a noise. Suddenly, the boar appears behind her and knocks her down. Luckily, it gets stuck behind a fallen tree, giving her time to run. Then the boar runs around the tree and goes looking for her, not stopping until he finds her jacket on the ground. Linda jumps from above and stabs it in the neck. However, the spear breaks and the boar runs to shake her off. When it charges at her, she uses the other spear half to stab it again, yet the boar is still alive and keeps spitting blood and mucus at her face. Linda desperately takes the first spear half from its neck and repeatedly stabs it in the eye, finally killing it. Moments later, Linda proudly drops the boar's head in front of Bradley and announces she likes hunting. That night, they both enjoy the amazing meat. Some days later, Linda is exploring when she discovers a waterfall and she decides to take a shower. Suddenly, she hears a noise and sees a boat nearby. Linda rushes to ask for help, but stops herself when she realizes she's happy here. Then she returns to the camp and gives Bradley some water while showing him the backpack she's made with leaves. However, Bradley is frustrated because it's been 2 weeks and they haven't been found. When Linda asks him to stay positive, Bradley snaps and yells at her, saying they should build a raft. Linda thinks it's a bad idea and they start arguing. Soon, Bradley realizes she's happy the way things are and tries to walk away, but he's slow because of his injured leg. He points out that Linda thinks she's a big deal, but he's the president of an important company. However, Linda laughs and reminds him that his father did it all and he's just a Nepo baby. When Bradley fires her, Linda just laughs more. Bradley leaves and tries to set up his own camp, but no matter what he tries, everything fails. Meanwhile, Linda has built a strong shelter, a hat, and even a hammock, not to mention she has food. She also uses branches to finally write the word help on the sand. He's so hungry that he ends up catching a bug and tries to eat it, but it's so disgusting that he spits it out. Eventually, Bradley approaches Linda, who has made a table and a whole sushi spread. He tries to be friendly, but she humiliates him by pointing out he has something on his teeth. Then he notices she has a knife, so she explains she found it on the shore. Bradley starts to apologize for his attitude, but Linda asks for more, so he mentions how much he underestimated her and how important she's to the company. She keeps eating and drinking just to mock him, thus a desperate Bradley falls on his knees and promises to help. Since she keeps teasing him, Bradley ends up begging and offering naughty times. Linda immediately stops him and finally agrees to take him back. In the afternoon, Linda brings Bradley on a walk to rehabilitate his leg. They reach the mountain and take a very narrow path where they have to make some dangerous jumps. Linda shows him that there's nothing but water for miles before they keep moving. She then shows him how to check for poisonous berries. They must rub them on the skin to see if there's a reaction. Lastly, she points at 2 rocks forming an X, explaining that in that part of the island there are only thorn bushes and poison vines. They must never go there if they want to live. On their way back, Bradley decides to take a break to rest his leg. Suddenly, the ground breaks under Linda's feet and she has to hold on to some vines to avoid falling. Bradley immediately reaches for her and helps her climb back up. They land on top of each other and laugh at the situation. During dinner, Linda reveals she's been making alcohol from fermented fruit and it should be ready now. By nighttime, they're both drunk. Linda suddenly shares that she used to be married. Their relationship lasted 10 years before his death, but Linda doesn't feel bad because he was an unloving husband. Bradley says he knows how that feels because he never truly knew his dad. The man had always been working and never had a connection with his son or wife. His mom was abusive and Bradley tries not to resent her because his grandfather was the same to her. This inspires Linda to admit her husband was also abusive and liked to drink. She usually hid the car keys when he drank too much, but one night they had a very bad fight and he did awful things to her. Linda finally had enough and let him have the keys, so he left in the car and had the accident that killed him. She never told this to anyone, and concludes that they shouldn't leave the island. The next morning, Linda wakes up with an awful hangover. When she goes to the shore to freshen up, she sees Bradley bathing and realizes how attractive he is. In the afternoon, a terrible storm hits the island and Linda has to push Bradley out of the way to save him from a falling tree. Then they run to a cave to hide until the storm passes. Bradley hugs Linda to share body heat. The following day, Linda wakes up alone in the cave, so she goes looking for Bradley, who is in the woods. Their camp has been destroyed and Linda apologizes for building it so close to the shore. Bradley just says that they can build a new one together on higher ground. Sometime later, the duo has a brand new camp. When Bradley feels his leg getting stiff, they go for a walk and he thanks her for everything she's taught him. In the evening, he volunteers to make dinner and admits this is the first time he's ever cooked. Suddenly Linda starts feeling dizzy and realizes he put the bad berries in her food before she collapses. Then Bradley runs into the woods and comes back with a raft he's been building in secret. He gets on the water and rows away until a wave hits him. The raft stays in place and he's so proud of his work that he gives Linda the finger. However, when